What if I told you the supplements you rely on today might be holding you back? 3 different eras, 3 completely different approaches to building muscle. But which one truly made champions? And which one might be fooling you? From the golden age to the modern age of bodybuilding, supplements have evolved, but not always for the better. Are we using the right tools or just falling for a myth? In the next 5 minutes, we're uncovering the shocking truth behind the supplements that built. Welcome back to Aesthetic 71, where we dive deep into the world of bodybuilding history and the secrets behind legendary physiques. Today we're exploring a topic that's as controversial as it is fascinating: the rise of anabolic steroids in bodybuilding. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of steroids, let's travel back in time to the Bronze Era, the days of Eugen Sandow, George Hackenschmidt, and other pioneering strongmen. These athletes built impressive physiques without any modern supplements or performance enhancers. So what were they using if not steroids? Back then, the closest thing to a performance enhancer were dubious concoctions made from animal testicles. These potions were based on the belief that consuming these extracts could boost strength and virility. But here's the catch: they didn't work. Why? Because they contained almost no testosterone and were essentially placebos. The Silver Era. Fast forward to 1935. And the world witnessed a groundbreaking discovery: the synthesis of testosterone. Adolf Butenandt and Leopold Ruzicka, working independently, managed to isolate and synthesize testosterone, earning them a Nobel Prize in chemistry. This was a monumental step towards the anabolic steroids we know today. But just because testosterone was synthesized didn't mean it was instantly available to athletes. During the late 1930s and early 1940s, testosterone was primarily used in clinical settings to treat conditions like hypogonadism and aging in men. Bodybuilders at the time, like Steve Reeves and John Grimek, likely remained natural, as steroids were not yet widely accessible or understood as performance enhancers. In fact, early advertisements for hormone supplements were often misleading. Products like Testilon claimed to contain powerful hormones, but in reality they were just rebranded versions of those ineffective testicle extracts. The true potential of testosterone as a muscle builder was still a mystery to the general public. The golden era, 1950s, 1960s. Everything changed in 1954 at the World Weightlifting Championships in Vienna. John Bosley Ziegler, the doctor for the American team, noticed the extraordinary size and strength of the Soviet athletes. After a few drinks with the Russian team doctors, Ziegler learned their secret: testosterone. Ziegler brought this knowledge back to the States and started experimenting with testosterone injections on himself and members of Bob Hoffman's York Barbell Club. But it wasn't until he collaborated with Ciba Pharmaceuticals to develop a more effective drug that things really took off. In 1958, they released Dianabol, the first true anabolic steroid designed for muscle growth. The introduction of Dianabol marked the beginning of a new era in bodybuilding. By the early 1960s, steroids had infiltrated the sport, transforming physiques and raising the bar for what was possible. Competitors went from looking like Steve Reeves in 1954 to the monstrous physiques of Sergio Oliva by 1968. This stark transformation over just a decade highlights how dramatically steroids changed the landscape of bodybuilding. From the late 1950s onward, it's safe to say that nearly all competitive bodybuilders were using steroids to some extent. So to wrap it up, before the 1930s, bodybuilders were 100% natural, relying solely on hard work and diet. The period from the late 1940s to mid-1950s remains a gray area, but by the late 1950s and especially into the 1960s, steroids had become an integral part of competitive bodybuilding. The impact of these drugs on the sport has been profound, and for better or worse. If you enjoyed this journey through the history of steroids in bodybuilding, give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more deep dives into the fascinating world of bodybuilding. This is Aesthetic 71, where history meets muscle. See you next time.